The Holy Gospel is written in the second chapter of John, beginning at the 13th verse. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple courts, he found men selling cattle, sheep, doves, and others sitting at tables exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords and drove all from the temple area, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. To those who sold doves, he said, "Get out of here. How dare you turn my Father's house into a market?" His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." When the Jews demanded of him, "What miraculous sign can you show us to prove your authority to do all this?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and I will raise it again in 3 days." The Jews replied, "It has taken 46 years to build this temple. You're going to raise it in 3 days?" But the temple he had spoken of was his body. After he was raised from the dead, his disciples recalled what he had said. Then they believed the scriptures and the words that Jesus had spoken. This is the gospel of the Lord. Well, hello. It's good to be back with you. And no invidious comparisons, please, because Deborah Dresser and Chuck Kramer are pretty good. I know them very well, and I know that they loved being with you. And now you got me, and I'm very glad to be here. And I think I'm going to get some soup. I think that's the best thing of all, almost. So I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to this time, this very holy time back with you. As you know, I'm a little bit of a junkie for Forward Day by Day, and it hasn't changed. I haven't changed at all. So what I'm going to do is read you a little passage from a person named Elise Reyes Montes, who is the author for March. It's about soup, by the way. I like to think of my church as a kitchen. We gather to remember the stories of faith, of Jesus, of the faithful figures in the Bible, of our congregations. We also gather to share communion, a spiritual meal that has been provided to us through tradition, prayer, and blessing. At its core, the house of God is where we strengthen our faith. Jesus invites all people into the kitchen. And whenever we try to exclude people with discriminatory structures, Jesus will tear them down. Boy, did he did a good job of it, didn't he, in the temple? But don't you love that nice, homey image of the kitchen? And I think that fits very well with St. Paul's Pleasant Valley. It's a nice kitchen we have here, and we sort of use it, don't we? It's a good thing. So let's stay on the side of the angels where everyone's invited into the kitchen and we share the means of life. Wherever the means of life are brought together and lovingly shared, that's where God is. It's one way of thinking about communion, isn't it? So, all right. It says in the lesson that you just heard something about these simple things, and yes, simple people. So I'll read it again for you a little. from 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Oh, by the way, I'm going to read you the verse that followed the reading that you just had. Brothers and sisters, think of what you were when you were called. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were influential. Not many were of noble birth. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong, chose the lowly things of this world, the despised things, and the things that are not, to nullify the things that are. Well, I sort of like to think of myself as qualified, but sure, so I'm sure not much hot stuff. But God did choose me. And I think that you are chosen, even though you're a little more hot stuff than I am. But the main thing is, in this world around us, what do you hear on the news? All about these important people trying to be more important than the other important people? That's these days. And quietly, God goes on God's business with us, huh? Let it be. Let it continue. Because in the long run, that's what's going to stand. Even after all the coins have drifted out the door and the sheep and the goats with them. That's just the way it is. That's the way it always is with God. Eternally, that's what it is. So Lent, look at what us people of God think about it. Oh, it's so miserable. It's so awful out there, and I don't get to do what I want to do. And even if I go to Florida, and but look at what we do. Oh yeah, it's Lent. We can do Lent. No one took that away, right? Maybe we can do it even better than we usually do it. Maybe it's done for us and handed to us in a nice basket. Remember when we used to think, oh God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up this and I don't want to take on that. Here we are doing it because COVID beat us into it. Wonderful. It's like Brer Rabbit being thrown into the briar patch. You see what I mean? People of God have ways of framing things that God has given us. And we can make something of things that other people think are just miserable. So let's do that. Let's see the good. The half full cup. Let's do it. And be Christians. And be very unimportant, because as one very wise priest once said to me, Mike, you've just told me about all the things you're trying to do. How's God doing? God did just fine. And God does do just fine. And God will do just fine. So we have some hopes for a good Lent, for Holy Week. Ooh, I get the feeling we might get to see each other. And for Easter, ooh, we might get to celebrate together. I think it's very, very wonderful that we're halfway into the tunnel and we're coming out, and we maybe even see a little light at the end. Whether we've gotten our shots yet or not, we're going to get them. whether people are foolish or wise, we're going to get through this anyway. Pray for the people who are foolish. Keep safe. And I sure look forward to seeing you. And yes, we will be a little different when we see each other. We won't be with Bill. We won't hear that piano in the parish hall. We won't be with Alice. We won't hear quite the same organ in the church, but they'll be with us. God loves them still and will always love them. And when Marilyn sees Bill again, boy, she's going to be shocked and amazed and joyful. See you later.